You said you had a really unique situation happen yesterday and it played out really well. You want to share that real quick? Because it will apply for all of us with all these offers that are getting written.
Yeah, sure. So yesterday, my agent called me and we were trying to get this borrower who's desperate for a place into this townhouse, and the townhouse was going into the market through the weekend. They asked for like a deadline until Tuesday, and my agent called me and suggested that we call the listing agent together. So I said, yeah, we hopped on a conference call, talked to the listing agent. He was super impressed that we call it together. That way, you don't have to get two separate phone calls. And then we followed up with a text, and by 7 o'clock last night, 8 o'clock last night, they decided to pull the house off the market and take our offer due to our communication and the fact that we were willing to close in 2 weeks. So
I love that.
I had never done anything like that, and it seems so simple, yet it's something that I know, like, as we get busy, you're probably not going to be able to do it every single time. But if you have, that one offer where you need to give it everything you've got, I think it's a good idea. Like I said, the listing agent was blown away. He said that had a lot to do with it.
Well, and that buyer's agent told Jan that he had a buyer's agent on a listing that he had a buyer's agent and a lender call him, and he did the same thing. He took the offer because it was just like, wow, this is really impressive. So it's just a unique way to stand out a little bit and give yourself a leg up. I mean, if you get both of you guys get on the phone with that listing agent together, I just would think that it's just something to set you apart, and everything that you could do to set yourself apart when you've got, 3 offers get outbid. Anything that you can do would set you apart, would make a difference. So that was a great idea, and I'm glad Jan called me last night to say that the offer did get accepted. So they were going to leave that house, they were going to keep showing until Tuesday, but they just stopped showing in a day, and that was it. So that's cool. So who wants to start with what their takeaways are from Fanatical Prospecting, Chapter 12, social selling? Somebody raise their hand.
We just nominate Ryan.
All right, let's nominate Ryan.
All right, well, guess I'm up. I mean, so I think the biggest takeaway is the fact that the last part about social prospecting and outbound prospecting is a powerful combination. That's why I do it at the end of the day, really, is just to get myself a leg up against somebody who is calling over the phone, didn't send them a video, or just trying to use scripting, right? I've had, I think, 3 or 4 different meetings over the last couple of weeks, just with people that I've connected with on Instagram. So it's been a good tool for me because they see what I do and they see the consistency of it, and it gives them a perception of professionalism at the end of the day. So, I mean, this whole chapter is what I do on a weekly basis.
I have a question. So, because a lot of people think, and my takeaways are, social selling is not a panacea. The social channel enhances, elevates, and sometimes accelerates your prospecting efforts. It certainly impacts familiarity, which is what I think you're saying you have found, but it is not a replacement for focused and deliberate outbound prospecting efforts. You've probably had a couple of instances where somebody has just reached out to you.
Well, it's easy. People like my videos. They follow me. I thank them for following me. And then we have a conversation like, yeah, wait, what do you do? Or you're like, how long you been in your brokerage for? Oh, like 3 years. Like, great, let's grab lunch. Okay, sounds good. It's pretty damn simple.
Right. So have you had people actually, but you have to follow back, right? Like at the end of the day, you're not having, hey, you're going to be my lender. You still have work to do.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. But they're going into the meeting already liking you.
Right. Right on. What else? Let's see who wants to, anybody else? Casey, Chris?
I'll
go ahead.
I liked the inbound prospecting where you kind of try and come up with ideas for prospects to reach out to you, whether it's like doing something that requires them to give their contact information, or I like what people have been doing in their newsletters where it's like, they have a client answer a question about something, like I think someone did a favorite restaurant or something like that, like just to get engagement from prospects so that we're not always reaching out to them, but they're also reaching out to us.
Right on. That's good. Who else?
I'll jump in. I had to throw Ryan out there mainly because you watch and you're just kind of impressed by what he does with his social media engagement. And, and I know that's just one part of the chapter. So I've written that down as a goal a couple times at the beginning of the year, was to dive into social media in a similar fashion as Ryan. And I've never done it. And the reason is I hate social media. I don't
Same.
I don't
I
like
fucking
it.
hate it.
I don't, like I've deleted it off of my phone. I try not to engage with it, but at the same time, it's such a great tool. I still have them. And one of the things is using it in parallel with your prospecting, right? Whether that's making a connection with your clients on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, just adding them as a friend, making a connection with a realtor that you're prospecting or whoever your prospecting is, just going in and doing a little bit of research about them and being able to prospect, but also have a little bit of information on that person. So that's where I see the benefit of it. One of these days I'm going to maybe consider doing some real social media engagement, but who knows?
Yeah, I
One
mean,
of the, you brought up a good point. You brought up one of my takeaways, the connecting part. So it just says here, make sure you're connecting on LinkedIn each time you meet a new prospect or potential client or someone who might be a valuable addition to your professional network. They are most apt to accept your connection right after they've met you. And following the connection request with a handwritten thank you note, and you can become a superstar in their eyes. It's just a thing that you can do with social media. That's all that is. This isn't, I'm going to be on social media, as much as it is like going, I'm going to make sure that I connect, because you guys all have enough things that happen on your social media profiles, like LinkedIn, your experience.com surveys can get reposted. There's enough good things that you're doing without being really engaged that you're going to create more familiarity and more, I hate using the word brand awareness, but more personal awareness, right? Like at the end of the day, we just don't want them to forget us. So the connecting thing is a really critical thing. And I don't know how disciplined all of us are with that. I can do a better job with it as well, but just getting connected right away so that you're just connected with somebody that you've been, that you just started talking to. Because if it's a consumer that you're getting ready to do a loan with, odds are they have a professional profile that you can connect to. And I just think that makes so much sense to do that. So.
Well, and I'm curious, like how many of you on here have gone and had a meeting with a client or a goals call, or have gotten that initial lead, and then you see, like, because LinkedIn tells you if someone looks at your profile.
Right.
How many of you seen that client go in and look at your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time, but
it happens enough.
They look at it.
Yeah, no, it happens enough. So then that's the next thing. It's critical to have a highly professional social media profile with a professional headshot, which I think everybody does. Complete summary /bio/ about your section, up-to-date contact information. Don't leave any gaps in your profile, and make sure you're updating your profiles regularly. If it doesn't look like if the last thing you posted, if you don't work at the company that it says you currently work at, that would be not good, right? So it's always interesting when I see that, like going, oh, this guy is not paying really close attention to anything that's going on in his world. So I think you're right, Casey. I think people do check all the time, and I don't think it's I just think it's important to have that same thing. It's like having a halfway decent looking business card. It's like having anything that you do. Everything's an impression that we're giving, right? So being professional in that regard is really critical to that impression. That's what it's called, social impression, right? Who else?
It's great for all those recruiters to bug the shit out of you.
Yeah, no shit.
Speaking of keeping things updated, according to LinkedIn, Keegan and Ocean both still work here. Yeah. Masters, yeah.
And I
Gurus.
get all their email, like their emails through from LinkedIn. So yeah, just keeping up with things is important, right?
So like talk just real quick. So I too loathe social media. I really do. Always have fake media. In fact, I have a whole conspiracy that eventually everyone's going to contract from it and just go into silos and actually be by themselves again or with their immediate networks. Just because they're tired of everybody knowing all their stuff. But a presence, I've always been with the presence. I did a lot of campaigns on social media, spend a ton with the Boost, had a social media expert and all that stuff. And obviously the awareness was the most important part of that result. It didn't really drive any traffic, but it validated and was a good way for us to, or for anybody to get, immediate responses, like when the market changes as a major event. Just like the last couple of weeks, have had a lot of good opportunities for us to reach out and be sort of subject matter experts and provide some guidance and awareness of what's happening. So those are sort of my biggest things for social media. Obviously, you do have to have a presence. The robust campaigns that Ryan does and other folks on this call do, they're amazing. I don't necessarily see myself doing those. I did like the part where he says that people don't want to be sold to on the social media. They just want to be educated and informed. And so that's sort of my angle on that. But
right on. Yeah,
4 cents.
I think what we hate, everybody says they hate social media. I think what we hate, I know what I hate. What I hate is the fake shit that gets posted. And then I hate the time that I end up getting. Like what we do is we hate the time that we spend on it. Sometimes if you're like me, like you go and you look at something and then the next thing you know, you spent 5 or 10 minutes looking at crap. And that's what I hate about it. So that's why I think it's really important to figure out a way that you can be scheduled and like, here's what I'm going to do with social media. I think, Ryan, you've done a pretty good job with that. I think that you've created can you talk a little bit about that? Because you've made an investment here in time and energy and you're seeing some payoffs, but it's not without a lot of time and energy, right? Like this isn't something you're dabbling in.
No, for sure. I mean, I think the thing about social media is it's about being intentional with it. The reason I hate it, the reason everybody hates it, like you talk about, is because you get into the scroll phase, right? Whereas if you're intentional with it and if you treat it as a business activity, if you go on and you say, look, I'm going to go on and do 10 likes, 10 shares, 10 DMs, right? Go on for 20 minutes. Great. Like do that at the end of the day. So that's what I've been focusing on I'll copy and paste a realtor's Instagram profile into my CRM. So if I'm going and doing some prospecting activity, then I'll click on their Instagram and, maybe they've got a story and I want to react to their story or whatever. Right. So I do it very intentionally that way. But I mean, in terms of seeing the fruits of your labor on social media, you have to be consistent because you're only as good as the consistency is, like everything else in your business. Right. So for me, it's 2 videos a week. It's doable. It's not a shit ton of time. I'm able to crank them out pretty quickly. Like that's consistent for me. And then, people have a lot of really good feedback on it because I'm providing value. Like I'm giving somebody some knowledge, not like, oh, hey, look at me, I've got a closing today. Like 99% of realtors do under contract. Like that doesn't do anything for your viewer. You're just talking about yourself.
Jacqueline always responds whenever she goes, I hate it when a realtor posted just closed. It's like, yeah, it's your job.
No, but I mean, to all of this, what I was going to say is I've put together like a pretty detailed presentation for realtors that I've been diving into with them because a lot of realtors don't have any sort of, they have no idea how to do this. So if anybody's interested, I was talking with Jay about this yesterday. If anybody's interested, I could do the same presentation for everybody.
How long is the presentation?
I don't know, maybe, I mean, it ends up probably being close to an hour. Like once you start diving into it and going through it and asking questions and stuff. If I just talk and nobody says anything, it's probably 45 minutes, but I'd like to, get into questions and thoughts you guys have.
Well, you know what, we could certainly do this on one of our, sharing what people are doing is one of the cool things about Zenith. And so if people would like to see exactly what it is you're doing and how you're doing it, to get an idea of what the time commitment would be, it's just another thing that you can do that potentially could lead to more business. So maybe we
It's just-
can take a poll and just see if everybody wants to do
Yeah,
that. I'd
sure.
love to have you do it.
Cool.
As you guys know, I'm a huge proponent of social media. I absolutely love it. No, on the other side of the coin, I guess I could be a case study for, like, you don't need to do it. I don't think. I don't do it. I
Do you have a
still
profile at
closing-
all? Do you have anything online?
I don't post shit. I don't care. I don't like it. We're all talking about how we don't like it, yet we're going to use it. Do you think other people don't like it?
You don't
Probably.
even have Facebook anymore, do you?
Maybe. I only go on to watch Dan Radwich's videos on Mortgage Coach.
Oh, yeah.
That's about it.
I think
I haven't posted anything. I'm just saying, like, Casey and our friends, I don't think anyone uses social media of our age. I also read an article on I'm not hating on it. If you want to do it, great. I'm just saying you don't have to do it. I think everyone's like, oh, you gotta do social media to be successful. You gotta do social media. No, you don't. You just, I don't know. My thing is, like, I'm good on the phone with clients. I'm friendly. I take care of them. I follow up. I call them on their birthday, and that's it. Do you have to like their kids' St. Patty's Day outfit? No, I don't think so.
Creepy, totally creepy.
Yeah, it's just, I saw
Ryan,
an
are you
article
gonna
on-
like anybody's kids? You don't like people's kids.
I'm just
shit,
saying.
do you?
I know Giuseppe does. He's gonna watch this recording.
I mean, yeah, G's huge on Facebook. I don't really do a lot on Facebook. At the end of the day, like, I agree with Chris. This is not a necessity. It's a tool in your toolbox to help
Yeah.
you out. For me, it's become a good conversation starter with realtors. That's why I've continued to do it. Because last fall I was like, fuck, I don't know, I want to continue doing this. Like, and then a lot of people, like, it's visibility, right? And
Yeah.
so I think if you are Chris, right, and you have an amazing database, I don't know if it's a necessity. If you're trying to build a business and
Yeah.
create more relationships, it's helped me do that. And that's why, that's where I'm at with it. That's where I've gotten to bit with it.
I know-
Sorry.
I'm like Casey. I gone back and forth. One of my top realtors, Jackie, has this person that she uses, and he posts everything for her. And I was like, maybe I'll have him do it. And then I talked with Emily, and I'm just like, it's just not me. It's just like,
Right.
it's fake.
Exactly.
It's not who I am. I'm not going
Right.
to sell my soul to be on social media, whatever. So, and I read an article on
It'd be
CNBC
really
or
fun to
somewhere.
see Chris do a TikTok dance. Wouldn't it be fucking hilarious? That'd be great.
I'll do one if you want. Well, that's going to be banned anyway in like a month. So good luck using fucking TikTok. Sorry, I'm hating on social media. My point, anyway, if it's not you, don't do it. There's plenty of things you can do to follow up with realtors and clients. If I were to do it, it would only be for visibility. I would just, so I could try to get more realtors, right? I guess that would be it. And only thing I would do every day was I'd watch Barry Habib's video, be like, oh, cool. I'm going to screenshot this and do a 1 minute hit, 30-second hit on the market. And I would do that every single day. That's what I was going to do. And then hopefully people and realtors tune into you to be like, oh, what's the news today? What did Ryan say about what's going on? And that's how I would do it. But I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I hope
That's a great
nobody
idea.
thinks that I think I'm not. Just let me be clear. I don't think it's a requirement for success either. And the chapter says that. I mean, I think that was the takeaway in the chapter is social selling is not a panacea. It's like in the first couple of pages, it enhances, it elevates, and sometimes accelerates your prospecting efforts. It certainly impacts familiarity, but it is not a replacement for focused and deliberate outbound prospecting efforts. You get way more freaking mileage out of picking up the phone and calling one of your customers who posted something on social media to congratulate them rather than liking it on social media, right? Like way more mileage out of that. Calling somebody, I fucking hate the birthday bullshit that like when you just get tons of happy birthdays and you know that it's all just an auto button thing that they pushed. They didn't even type it out. And that's why there's so much value in picking up the phone and calling a client on their birthday. They can't believe you actually took the time to do.
Yeah.
So it's just to me, that's what authentic is all about. It's being authentic enough to actually speak to someone.
Well,
So
I have a good,
on
I
that,
want to finish my point too.
Oh,
Like
go
I read
ahead.
an article on CNBC where one of the most top Google searches was like how to cancel Facebook, how to cancel Instagram. Like people are like, how do I just like get rid of this? And to Dennis's point, like
Funny.
I kind of feel like people are shifting that way too. And Jonathan's fiance, Amanda, made a good point once. She's like, if your entire business is built on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and those go down or people stop using it, then what are you going to do? Like, if you're a TikToker and that's like your business and like what are you going to do then? Create your own platform. So like, I think you need a little bit of it, but you need to just be very diverse in how you follow up with people is my point. And one of my top realtors, Tori, she's been struggling and, you know, what should we do? Should I do this? Should I do that? I was like, I'm calling all my past clients, call all your past clients, call all of them, once a month or whatever you're going to do, blah, blah, blah. Two leads this week. She called past clients and they both like, oh yeah, I have someone that looking to buy a home this week. So I think if you have a good database too, just call people. I don't know. Just, hey, what's up, Dave? How you doing, man? Yeah.
Mike
blah,
White.
blah, blah.
It's the first thing Mike White tells everybody. If you're not doing enough business, it's because you're not talking to enough people. It's that simple. It is just that simple. You have to talk to people. The other thing before we go, I don't want to forget this. Casey, what were you going to say? And then I have one more thing. Casey, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quickly, none of us may like social media. Everyone, one of us have it in some degree or form. But if you go in there and you scroll and you see something and you have, a contact, this is one of the really cool things. Giuseppe did this. This is like 5 years ago, like right when I started. My dog died and I had posted something on social media. Giuseppe writes me a handwritten note and sends it to me. It's just like, hey man, I know how tough that is. I'm so sorry to hear about your dog died. I hope you have a better week. Like something like that, because he saw it on social media and then turns it into a different type of connection.
And
So I
5
think
years
that's
later,
a really good way to do it.
And 5 years later, it still matters that he did that.
Yeah.
So that's huge. That's a huge takeaway.
Do that for when babies are born. It's fucking awesome. Since he sent me like a little block, now I do it for all my clients. Like weight, day, whole thing. People love it. Remember the review that G got recently from that client because he sent a baby block to them and they're like, oh my God, that was the most thoughtful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Simple.
Yeah, that's social media plus like then a personal touch. And that's
Right.
great.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's using it.
Leveraging it. Right.
Jessica, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, with that, like sometimes I see on the social media, hey, it's their anniversary or it's their husband's birthday. So, if you can take that information and put it in the database, that might be helpful later too. Yeah, I really liked where it said just to focus on connecting, interacting, and learning. Like that's what they're doing, people who are on social media. And so I think sometimes when I put things on social media, I don't know if it's always geared towards those three things. So especially, I just want to focus on doing that more. So creating value by learning or connecting with them or interacting. And that's what I'm going to keep it down to. And so I have the podcast that I do. It can be intermittent, but I just recorded my 13th episode. So that's 13 and 14
Awesome.
actually. So yeah, I'm excited. Finally got a top producer on there to share some real information that I think is really going to help people. So yeah, I'm excited about just continuing to do those types of things.
For you, that's awesome. Jan?
I'm with Chris on social media.
That's what I thought.
I just don't do it. I mean, I should, but I'm not. I mean, I feel like you can find other ways to where you don't need it. However, I do think it's important, right, to maybe strategize a way to implement a touch here or there, but just not have your whole business rely on it. But I mean, I've talked to a lot of my agents. A lot of them do get a lot of their leads from Facebook, all that kind of stuff. I know it's big in the Hispanic market, so it's something that I've considered. But I want to have like a set plan to where it just doesn't like consume my whole life. So we'll see.
Right on. I was going to ask you, what is it like in the Hispanic community? Is it is it highly used? Is it highly not leveraged?
Yeah, I mean, Facebook is huge in the Hispanic market. That agency we were talking about yesterday, that Paisano Realty, I mean, they get a lot of traffic just by putting stuff on social media, and then, you know, they have people just walk in. So from my market standpoint, it would be smart, but like the shit you see on there, like, I'm just like, okay, well, that's not right. That's not right. You know, so like I would try and develop more of like, okay, here's how it actually works. But at the same time, I feel like if I give out like all the stuff that I know as far as like doing loans, I don't want other lenders taking my shit and then using it, you know, to their advantage because I'm broadcasting it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it.
So
Who else?
Want to add
Go ahead,
something?
John.
I don't think social media should be a big part of anybody's business, but if you don't have a profile at all, you either seem like you're 90 or you're hiding from something. I'm serious. If somebody's like, I just want to see what this Chris Harbor guy looks like, and they can't find you, they're gonna assume that you're like 90 fucking years old. So having something out there that just shows a little bit about who you are, I think is really important and valuable. And then on that same note, like this part of the on page 115, common mistakes: poorly written profiles, incomplete and outdated profiles, unprofessional photo or no photo. Sometimes I get these recruiting emails on LinkedIn and I look at their profiles and I'm like, what the actual fuck are they thinking? Outdated, extremely opinionated political or religious postings, or too many discussions, TMI, too much information about personal issues. So just all of that, to be careful about your profile. Don't post rants about whatever you think you want to rant about. Just don't do it, because you also seem like a weirdo doing that. So
Hobber, you need to update your profile, dude. You've got a Hallmark logo in it.
On what, Facebook?
On your LinkedIn profile. It says you work at Zenith Home Loans, but the header's got the Hallmark logo in it.
also, if you look at Alfonso's, he changed his company, but the last post he made was how great it is to work at Zenith, the #1 mortgage company in Denver.
I mean, it is. I'll update that, but
Yeah, you might want to update that.
I think the best thing, anyway.
So
People can Google me and they see my reviews, so like that's where I'm like, oh, great.
No, I know, but LinkedIn is still something that people go and look at. You've got 500 plus connections. This matters, right? So it says you're a mortgage loan originator at Zenith Home Loans. You just got the Hallmark logo in there. The last thing, what John, having a professional, you still have to have a professional appearance. I think that's a given. I agree with you. If you don't have anything out there, people think you're like 90. Second is, and then the generation of people that you're doing loans for that aren't your age, that are younger than you, that are in their 20s, they're going to check on social media. They're checking surveys for sure, right? So that's why the work that we asked you to do, setting up those practitioner pages, is going to be really important. Experience.com is doing a lot of work on their system. There's going to be a lot of updating that we're going to want to do that we're going to be able to leverage. It's just another form of social leverage that we're going to want to try to take advantage of. I think John hit on this. I want to make sure that I do it. Really be careful what you post. No political rants, nothing political, nothing social rant. I mean, just like, you've got to have an awareness that people form opinions based on the opinions you think are important for you to share. I don't want to say anymore. Jessica, go ahead, because I'll get yelled at when I get home.
Yeah, so one, I am working on my bio, which I think is going to be really cool to get it out there. And I think having a bio out there just creates that familiarity with people. So that should be coming up soon. But then also I had a realtor tell me that she built a lot of her Google reviews based off of friends and family and people that know her, not necessarily past clients, just giving a character review. And so I've started to just reach out, like maybe 2 a day, 2 friends a day, 2 family members a day, just to say, hey, like, could you just write a character review for me? Because I only have 2 Google reviews. Like, I'm trying to beef up this presence,
Right.
And even past clients, just copy paste and send it to them, say, hey, could you post this in Google for me? So that could be another way to keep the Google presence. And then they said not to do like a blast email to everybody, because if you do multiple Google reviews on the same day, you'll get blocked or something. So I'm just doing like 2 a day.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. Anybody else? Anybody else have anything to share?
Hey, yeah, from my call with Mike this morning, he touched on social media and how that's becoming a big form of communication for everybody. And he mentioned Megan Cloud and had me pull up her stuff and look at how she posts. And he's like, it's not just all mortgage related stuff. She posts like one thing about the mortgage industry, and then there's, like, hey, it's National Panda Day or whatever, and like, happy St. Patrick's Day and that kind of stuff. And he said, and then he talked about, small, like making friends with the small businesses in your area, and going into those on a regular basis and talking about like, hey, it's Jay, the mortgage guy. I'm here at, Johnny's Pizza, come mention my name, get a discount kind of thing. This is what Mike brought up on my call today with him as different forms of media posts that people have been doing that he's seen success with. So I thought it was interesting. And I'm still getting comfortable with social media. It wasn't something I used a lot. So I kind of just been taking it slow and at least going in and, like Ryan touched on, just, doing a couple likes, doing a couple of DMs and, maybe a couple posts, but it's definitely the consistency thing. That's the hardest part for me. So I got to be more intentional with it, and definitely could use some help with my profile. So.
Well, go back and read the chapter in the book. The profile is pretty simple to put together. If you want me to edit it, where you want me to like review it with you, I'm happy to do that. Where anybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right on. All right, team. Let's have a great Friday. And I hope your basketball teams win. We'll see you on the call.